Writing. The summer sun hung low over the Texas countryside, painting the fields with shades of gold and orange. The town of Red Creek was the kind of place where everyone knew each other. Neighbors waved from their porches, children rode bicycles until sunset, and people rarely locked their doors. It was a peaceful community built on trust, and for years nothing had disturbed that peace. That changed on a quiet Saturday morning. Rancher Bill Henderson was driving along a dirt road near the edge of his property when he noticed something unusual in the tall grass. At first, he thought it was discarded clothing. But as he stepped closer, his stomach tightened. He immediately grabbed his phone and called 911. Within minutes, deputies arrived at the scene. Sheriff Daniel Reeves stepped out of his vehicle and surveyed the area. His expression hardened as investigators confirmed the worst. The victim was Emily Carter, a 32-year-old elementary school teacher who had lived in Red Creek her entire life. The news spread through town like wildfire. Emily was loved by everyone. She volunteered at community events, tutored struggling students after school, and always seemed to have a smile for everyone she met. No one could imagine why anyone would want to harm her. Sheriff Reeves knew the pressure would be enormous. The town wanted answers, and Emily's family deserved justice. Standing beside one of the patrol vehicles was Deputy Marcus Hale and his canine partner, Ranger, a German shepherd known throughout the county for his intelligence and remarkable tracking abilities. Marcus knelt beside the dog. "Ready to work, buddy?" Ranger's ears perked up immediately. Investigators carefully collected a personal item belonging to the victim and allowed Ranger to smell it. The dog focused instantly. His body became tense. His nose lowered toward the ground. Then he started moving. Everyone watched as Ranger followed a scent trail through the grass. Marcus held firmly to the leash while trying to keep pace. The dog crossed a shallow ditch and entered a wooded area nearly half a mile from the crime scene. Suddenly Ranger stopped. He barked loudly. Again and again. Investigators rushed forward. Near a broken fence post, they discovered disturbed soil. After carefully digging through the loose dirt, they uncovered a knife. The entire team fell silent. The weapon appeared to have been hidden deliberately. Forensic technicians collected it immediately. It was the first significant clue. Back at the sheriff's office, evidence technicians worked around the clock. The laboratory later confirmed that blood on the knife belonged to Emily Carter. The discovery was important, but it still didn't reveal who had committed the crime. Detectives began interviewing everyone connected to Emily. Friends, co-workers, neighbors, former classmates, family members. Every conversation painted the same picture. Emily was kind, responsible, generous. No one knew of any enemies. The investigation seemed stuck. Days passed. Then a new detail emerged. Witnesses confirmed that Emily had attended a charity fundraiser the night before her death. The event had been held at the local community center and attracted hundreds of residents. Security cameras showed Emily leaving shortly before 10 o'clock. She appeared calm. Nothing looked unusual. Investigators reviewed hours of footage from nearby businesses and traffic cameras. The process was exhausting. One evening, while examining recordings from a gas station, Detective Laura Benson noticed something interesting. A dark pickup truck appeared on the road shortly after Emily left the fundraiser. The vehicle seemed to be traveling in the same direction. The license plate was partially visible. After enhancing the footage, investigators identified the owner. His name was Travis Boone, a local mechanic, 38 years old, owner of a repair shop on the outskirts of town. Detectives visited him the following day. Travis appeared relaxed at first. He admitted driving that road but claimed he was simply heading home after finishing work late. His explanation sounded reasonable, at least initially. There was still no evidence placing him directly with Emily. The investigation continued. Meanwhile, Ranger remained active. Marcus could not shake the feeling that more evidence existed near the location where the knife had been discovered. Several days later, he returned with Ranger to conduct another search. The German shepherd immediately became focused. His nose moved rapidly across the ground. After several minutes, he led Marcus toward a cluster of bushes near the fence line. The dog began barking. Investigators searched the area carefully. Caught on a piece of barbed wire was a torn fragment of dark blue fabric. The piece looked small and insignificant, but experienced detectives knew that tiny clues often solved major crimes. The fabric was sent for analysis. The results revealed it came from a specific style of heavy-duty work jacket commonly worn by mechanics, construction workers, and ranch hands. The lead wasn't enough to identify a killer, but it narrowed the field. Detectives began looking more closely at individuals who owned similar jackets. Travis Boone quickly moved higher on their list. Phone records provided another important clue. His cell phone connected to a tower near the crime scene during the estimated time of Emily's murder. When confronted with this information, Travis insisted it was a coincidence. He maintained his innocence. Sheriff Reeves remained cautious. Coincidences happened. He needed stronger evidence. Weeks passed. Pressure mounted. News stations covered the case daily. Residents demanded answers. Emily's parents appeared on television asking for justice. The entire town felt trapped in uncertainty. Then Ranger changed everything. Based on the growing evidence, investigators obtained a search warrant for Travis Boone's property. Early the next morning, deputies arrived. Travis watched nervously as officers began searching the premises. Marcus released Ranger. The dog immediately started working. He moved around parked vehicles, storage containers, and piles of equipment. Then he stopped near a weathered shed. Ranger barked repeatedly. Marcus recognized the signal instantly. The dog had located something important. Inside the shed, investigators found a dark blue work jacket hanging from a nail. One sleeve had been torn. The missing section appeared identical to the fabric recovered from the fence. Forensic specialists seized the jacket. The laboratory worked quickly. Several days later, the results arrived. Microscopic traces of Emily's blood were present on the fabric. The sheriff's office erupted with excitement. The evidence was becoming difficult to ignore. Yet Travis continued denying everything. He claimed someone had planted the jacket. He insisted he was being framed. Detectives continued building the case. Forensic experts examined his truck. Hidden beneath the floor mat, they discovered fibers matching clothing worn by Emily on the night she died. The evidence continued piling up. Investigators also recovered deleted messages from Travis's phone. What they found shocked everyone. Over the previous several months, Travis had repeatedly contacted Emily. At first the messages were friendly. Then they became personal. Emily consistently rejected his advances. She remained polite but firm. Eventually the messages became angry, obsessive, concerning. One message sent shortly before her death read, "Why won't you give me a chance?" Another stated, "You keep embarrassing me." Then came a final message sent hours before the murder. "If you ignore me tonight, you'll regret it." Detectives now understood the likely motive. Travis had become obsessed with Emily. Her rejection fueled his anger. The evidence pointed toward a confrontation after the fundraiser. Investigators believed he followed her. What happened next ended in tragedy. Despite the mounting case, prosecutors wanted certainty. Every piece of evidence needed to withstand scrutiny in court. Additional forensic testing linked soil found on Travis's boots to soil recovered near the crime scene. DNA evidence connected him to the knife discovered by Ranger. The case became overwhelming. Eventually Travis was arrested and charged with murder. The town reacted with disbelief. Many people knew him. Some had trusted him with their vehicles for years. Others refused to believe he could be responsible. But the evidence told a different story. Months later, the trial began. The courthouse overflowed with spectators. Reporters crowded every available seat. Emily's family sat quietly in the front row. The pain remained visible on their faces. Prosecutors carefully presented their case. Witnesses described Travis's growing obsession. Digital experts explained the recovered messages. Forensic scientists detailed the blood evidence. Crime scene analysts reconstructed the sequence of events. Then Marcus Hale took the stand. Jurors listened intently as he described Ranger's role. He explained how the dog tracked the scent trail from the victim's belongings. How Ranger located the hidden knife. How he discovered the torn fabric. How he led investigators to the shed containing the damaged jacket. Every discovery created another link in the chain of evidence. The defense attempted to challenge the investigation. Attorneys suggested that the evidence could have been interpreted incorrectly. They questioned witness memories. They argued that circumstantial evidence was unreliable. But the prosecution continued presenting fact after fact. Piece after piece. The puzzle was complete. When the trial ended, the jury began deliberations. Hours passed. The courthouse remained silent. Emily's parents waited anxiously. Sheriff Reeves stood near the back of the courtroom. Marcus sat beside Ranger, who rested calmly at his feet. The dog had no understanding of legal proceedings. He simply waited beside the person he trusted most. Late that afternoon, the jury returned. Everyone stood. The foreperson held the verdict. The tension felt overwhelming. The courtroom became perfectly silent. "We find the defendant guilty." The words echoed through the room. Several people cried. Others lowered their heads. Emily's mother covered her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. Her father wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Years of grief would never disappear. But justice had finally arrived. The judge sentenced Travis Boone to life in prison. Outside the courthouse, reporters immediately surrounded Sheriff Reeves. Microphones appeared from every direction. One journalist asked the question everyone wanted answered. What solved the case? The sheriff paused for a moment. He looked toward Marcus and Ranger standing nearby. This case was solved because investigators never stopped searching for the truth, he said. Then he smiled slightly. And because one dog refused to quit. The story quickly spread across Texas. News outlets highlighted Ranger's role in the investigation. People were fascinated by how a trained canine had uncovered critical evidence that might otherwise have remained hidden forever. Schools invited Marcus to speak about police dogs. Community groups raised money for canine programs. Children asked for photographs with Ranger whenever he appeared at public events. The German Shepherd became something of a local hero. Yet Marcus always reminded people that Ranger was simply doing what he loved. Tracking, searching, helping, that was enough for him. Life gradually returned to normal in Red Creek. The fear that had gripped the town slowly faded. Families once again gathered at football games and community events. Children rode bicycles through the neighborhoods. People began healing. A year after the trial, the town dedicated a memorial bench in Emily Carter's honor. It was placed in a quiet park overlooking a small pond. Students, teachers, and residents attended the ceremony. Many shared stories about Emily's kindness. The lives she touched. The difference she made. Near the memorial stood Marcus and Ranger. The German Shepherd sat quietly beside him. As the ceremony ended, Emily's mother approached them. She knelt beside Ranger and gently stroked his fur. Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. The dog simply tilted his head. He could not understand her words. But somehow his calm presence seemed to offer comfort. Years later, visitors entering the Red Creek Sheriff's Office noticed a framed photograph hanging prominently on the wall. The picture showed Ranger sitting proudly beside Deputy Marcus Hale. Beneath it was a small plaque. The inscription read, "Loyal, determined, fearless, because every victim deserves justice." New deputies often stopped to read those words. Veteran officers knew the story by heart. It had become part of the department's history. A reminder that great investigations are built from patience, dedication, and attention to the smallest details. Sometimes justice comes from advanced forensic science. Sometimes it comes from experienced detectives. And sometimes it comes from a four-legged partner with a powerful nose and an unwavering determination to follow a trail wherever it leads. The people of Red Creek never forgot Emily Carter. And they never forgot the dog whose instincts helped uncover the truth. Because on one hot Texas summer day, when a killer believed he had erased every trace of his crime, a determined German Shepherd named Ranger proved him wrong. And thanks to that loyal dog, the truth was found, justice was served, and a community finally found peace.